Hello, everyone. My name is Jason DeCastro. Welcome back. Today, we're going to go over something that I like to introduce people to because I know people have these questions sometimes and you want to know a little bit more about somebody. So, today, we're going to go over biographies. As you can tell, today we're choosing a different college. This is Cañada College, also located in the Bay Area, just so you can see a little different of what things look like. Certain things are going to look, pretty much similar or the same, but it looks a little different. So I just wanted to show you a different college. So you can see real quick, we have one search right here, and we could jump in there and search for anybody. And we could go like Steve Jobs, let's say, right? Let's do Steve Jobs, and you could go with that. Okay. And there you go, Steve Jobs. We got a book on Steve Jobs. What would Steve Jobs do? A bunch of books on Steve Jobs. And you can use any of these books, or you could, again, choose something else, like a magazine article, newspaper article, et cetera, et cetera. The one way I want to make sure, let's say you're getting a lot of results for a Steve Jobs, but it's not the Steve Jobs, like whatever the name you're looking for, you get a lot of results for the name, but not the person. You can always go here to advanced search, and you could go to any field contains Steve Jobs to either author creator if you want stuff that your person has created or written the book or whatever, or if you want the person as a subject. So in this case, we want Steve Jobs as a subject, right? So we want anything written about Steve Jobs. So now we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And now you can see everything about Steve Jobs. Obviously, Steve Jobs is a very leading figure, and there's going to be a lot about him. But like I said, if we wanted something that comes from him, we could switch this from subject to author. And let's see if he wrote any books. So we have, see, here we go. We have some Steve Jobs. We have Apple. So let's see if this is the Steve Jobs that we're looking for here. So you can see we have an article called Apple from Computer Weekly. And if we click on his name here, we can see these are more Steve Jobs. So here we would have to actually go see. We're going to have to go, there we go, Computer Weekly Steve Jobs. So now we're going to have to open up this, type in Steve Jobs author, and what was it called? Computer Weekly, I think it was. Computer Weekly. Let's see if this is about Steve Jobs or from a different Steve Jobs. Well, there's a single author, Steve Jobs. Let's try Steve Jobs and author and Computer Weekly, and let's see if that works. Okay, so Steve Jobs is not an author, so it must be a different Steve Jobs. So let's see. Computer Weekly, here we go. So this is probably going to be the Steve Jobs, but it's not the one written by Steve Jobs. So let's see if we can find Computer Weekly Steve Jobs and see if we can find him here. Okay, so let's see. George Lawson, Claire McDonald, okay. So we're not finding anything by him. Maybe it is the actual Steve Jobs, but this is just a little blurb he wrote. He's not an author. It is not the regular thing that he does, so that's why it's not coming up as the author is Steve Jobs. Because you can see these are all like short articles. So you can see maybe he did write a blurb and they just published it. So that's just one option. Again, author creator. That's when your author is the person you're interested in. So if you're looking, excuse me. So if you're looking for like a writer, you could type in, F. Scott Fitzgerald. And if you're not familiar with Fitzgerald, and if you're not familiar with who F. Scott Fitzgerald is, he's the one that wrote The Great Gatsby. And now you can see Fitzgerald's right here. So F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is all about anything that wrote about him, or this is the F. Scott Fitzgerald Society. So, it's part of the name of the author. And again, if you're looking for stuff about his life, then subject would probably be your best bet. And now you can see contemporary nostalgia. The Great Gatsby is writing about him. Contemporary nostalgia again. It's a presentation in F. Scott Fitzgerald short story. So you can see that's just one option. If we go back here, I want to show you a couple more things. If you go to databases and articles, some colleges will have a biography database. And in our case, we could go here and hopefully it'll be here, but it's not. So let's say we want to just type in biography. And we can see we have biography in context and Libby. The one I want to show you today is biography in context. So if we go here, again, we always run into this when we're off site, so we have to log in to our college. You're going to run into that no matter where you go, so just keep that in mind. So let's do that. Let's wait for that. Okay. Now, as soon as this loads, you're going to see what biography and context looks like. Now, in this case, a lot of this stuff will be in one search, but it's good to have a separate place to go to actually have access to it. So if you go here, you can see people of interest. This is just kind of like the featured people. Sandra Cisneros, Billie Eilish, Steven Spielberg, Ray Bradbury, Sandra Cisneros. So these are just people that they're offering, right? You can also browse people, like these are some featured actors, these are some featured ancient Greeks and Romans, some featured business leaders, inventors, whatever it is. But we're just going to use the search feature right here. And I'm going to go ahead and type in Steve Jobs again. And you can see it's a person guide specifically about that one person, which is Steve Jobs in this case. And here you go, you can see we have a few things here on this page. We have an encyclopedia entry on him. And if we click on Read Overview, you'll see this is an encyclopedia entry on him, and it'll be pretty in-depth. If we want to go back, excuse me, you can see this is his birthday to his death date. This is what occupation he was in. These are other names, nationality, etc., etc. Related topics: Tim Cook, Bill Gates, right? The successor at Apple, and then Bill Gates, which was a contemporary and a rival. You can see we have featured content, which is stuff that they're featuring for, they think it'll be most helpful to you. It has biographies, it has academic journals, so on and so forth. So if you wanted to go to featured content, you could go here and just select one at random or select one that you're interested in. And you can see there's the article. Now, the good thing about biography in context and all Gale in context articles, and generally most library databases, is that they'll have a cite feature, and you could just copy this and put it in your paper. MLA, APA, those are the two most common, right? And you can put that in your paper. Doesn't mean it's 100% correct. The library databases and most databases have a problem with this, but they're generally like 90 to 95% correct, and there may be a little thing that you have to fix. So if you have to fix something, just go to your library's citation guide or Purdue OWL, and they will go ahead and show you how to fix it. You can send it to yourself. Again, just email it to yourself right here. You can download it as a PDF. You can print it. You can get a link if you want to share it with somebody. You can just copy this link and send that to somebody. Again, I showed you this before, but one of the really cool things about Gale specifically is that you can translate it into any other language you want. So if you wanted it in Portuguese, you could change it to Portuguese, and there you go. Now it's in Portuguese. And complete translation there. And now the whole thing will be in Portuguese. So it's super cool, especially if you're not a native speaker. You can always translate it to your native language and then use it. You could, oh shoot, I think I messed it up. Let's go back to English here, since I don't speak, I do speak Portuguese, but I'm not 100% on it. There you go. So let's do this, set interface language, okay? All right, apply. Okay, so that's an example of just a featured content. We want to go back to biographies now, and you'll see a lot of them are from different places. This is a business biography database, encyclopedia. This is contemporary heroes and heroines. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the second one here. They'll look pretty much similar, which is everything on Gale databases look kind of similar. You can see it walks you through his world, his life. You can go through that. I'm not going to focus on this because you know what that looks like already. But you can see if you're not finding enough out of this encyclopedia entry, which basically functions as a biography as well, you could go through here. You can go through the separate biographies. You could choose reference books, which are basically encyclopedias and dictionaries also. And you can see he's in this one, Computer Science on Entrepreneurs, Apple Computer, Computer Sciences, and Apple Inc., Gale Encyclopedia of U.S. Economic History. If you wanted to, you could get images of Bill Gates. And there you go. There's just some, as throughout his life. If you want, you could go videos of Bill Gates. You can get audio of Bill Gates. And let's see what website they showed here. So selected websites on Steve Jobs' life and works. So you have all these available to you. You can see we could go back to all content types. And that's just an example. If you want, you can search within this for one thing in particular. So let's say we wanted Pixar. And we can submit it and see what pops up. All right, so redefine the digital age as the visionary of Apple. You can see Steve Jobs in his biographies, is in the reference, it's in videos. So there's just a few options. What I want to show you next is, let's go back to biography and context again. You can click on any of these people if you're looking for someone, or you could click on browse people, and now you'll have a list of everyone that the biography, that Gale and Context biography and context has. You can see it takes a little while to load here real quick, and now you can see everyone that they have. So you can see, it's a couple hundred people, maybe even more, maybe hundreds of people. So you could choose anyone. If you wanted Larry Page from Google, you could choose him. You'll see it all looks the same. Everything's the same. We got the encyclopedia at the top, little information about him. Again, related topics. These are other computer titans. Featured content, biographies, etc., etc. All these are the same. Again, if you want to search within these results, you can search for, let's say, Pixel phone, and maybe it'll pop up. Let's see, no results. Okay, so let's try something else. Let's try Waymo, because that's something that's really known for Google. So let's try Waymo, and hopefully that'll be in there. There you go. What is a flying car? Page and Brin out of office but still in control, etc., etc., etc. So the last thing I want to show you is, let's say you're finding things in here but you want more, or let's say you're not finding things in here, then we have to turn to to Google, and we could just go to biography.com. Oops, and it helps if you spell it right. Biography.com. Okay. And there you have biography.com. This is a freely available, open to everyone website. And it should be a place to search right here. You can see there's a couple of notables. Justin Bieber, Giorgio Armani, Anna Wintour, so on and so forth. And if you wanted to, you should be able to search. Well, here you go. You can just do this. You can type in and Steve Jobs, right? SteveJobsBiography.com. There you go. Okay. So here goes Steve Jobs' biography. Jump to who was Steve Jobs, quick facts, early life and education, creating next, Steve Jobs and Pixar, net worth, etc., etc. And as we go through, we can either jump to any of these if you wanted to, death and last words, whatever it is that you're interested in, quotes. We could jump straight to it, or we could just scroll through and see exactly what they have written about him. Okay. These are all examples of ways to find biographies. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and please subscribe. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.